Hello everyone. If you live in a rural area, you're a racist. Countryside Alliance fires back at prejudiced claims rural England is too white. The CEO of Countryside Alliance said a report claiming the British countryside is overwhelmingly white is contradicted by evidence. The Countryside Alliance has hit back at a controversial report claiming that rural Britain is overwhelmingly white and needs more halal food. Keep the food in mind. The University of Leicester's Centre for Hate Studies, call me, I can teach you some stuff, released the paper on rural racism, which it claimed creates discomfort and a psychological burden for people navigating predominantly white spaces. Academics argued that ethnic minority groups in the countryside face challenges due to exclusionary monocultural customs such as traditional pop culture. Keep that in mind as well, together with the food, please. Tim Bonner, chief executive at the Countryside Alliance, criticized their work as we jump a little bit. Ironically, those who peddle the narrative of a racist countryside are actually showing their own prejudice against rural people. Again, halal and kosher food. In a section titled How Can We Make the Countryside More Inclusive, the Center for Hate Studies recommended making, again, food and called on existing business to improve their cultural sensitivity, submit. This could make a significant difference in whether people feel comfortable visiting the countryside, the author argued, blah blah blah. They added welcoming minoritized individuals into the countryside means more than tolerance. It requires thoughtful adaptation, sustained inclusion, efforts, and a willingness to change, submit. The Center for Hate Studies report was funded by the Leverhulme Trust, established by William Lever, the man behind Unilever. It was based on interviews and informal conversations with 115 people, so Unilever suggestion was change the food. Professor Chakraborty and his colleagues concluded that most participants felt that racism in rural England is getting worse, as opposed to in cities where there's more diversity. The participants also had poor experience with people who lived in the countryside, such as persistent and aggressive staring, hostile body language, and a deliberate isolation. They also reported more overtly threatening behaviors such as name-calling, racial slurs, physical intimidation, and threats. The study authors say their recommendations, which are often framed as a threat to the staple and enduring norm of rural identity, would help tackle resistance to demographic changes. This was from the Countryside Alliance. Let's go for the paper. Rural England too white and needs more halal food. Keep in mind Unilever. So the food companies made a study about food. Academics argued that ethnic minority groups in the countryside face challenges due to exclusionary multicultural customs such as traditional pop culture. Keep that in mind, please, for we will come to it at the end. Rural Britain has been slammed as overwhelmingly white. We need more halal food. We had the food already. The university. Rural racism claimed discomfort and psychological burden for people navigating predominantly white spaces. Again, the food. Man, the food is a big topic in this study. I wonder why. In a section titled how can we make the countryside more inclusive? Again, food. This is it. This was the hit piece. The British countryside has been labelled overwhelmingly white and slated for not having enough halal food. We had the food already. A review in rural racism from the University of Leicester Centre for Hate. Call me. I have some tips for you to be more racist. Has highlighted a number of challenges faced by those from ethnic minority backgrounds in the countryside. Rural Britain's overwhelming whiteness causes discomfort and a psychological burden to people from different minority groups trying to navigate white spaces. The academics also claim that pub culture, keep that in mind, and other monocultural customs. So what we had? We had the food from Unilever, we had the pub culture. This is the professor who made the studies from the Center for Hate Studies. The last one was from Unilever, a food company where the food was a big topic that they had to change. He made different studies as well, sponsored by Blackstone. I wonder what this studies was about. I guess it was about real estate. And every Scooby-Doo episode at the end showed us that the real bad persons in the world are the real estate guys. This is from gov.uk. Now we come to the pub culture. Criminals to face football, travel, club and pub bans. Criminals will be barred from pubs, concerts and sports matches under new sentencing powers. Judges given new powers to punish offenders with bans that curtail freedom, mandatory drug testing expanded to keep offenders on straight and narrow. Mandatory drug testing expanded to keep offenders on straight and narrow. Part of the government's plan for change to make sure punishment cuts crime and keep streets safe. Criminals will be barred from pubs, concerts and sports matches under new sentencing powers unveiled by the government today, Sunday 24th August, as part of its plan for change. Judges will be able to curtail offenders' freedoms with driving limits, travel bans, and restricting zones, confining them into specific areas. So, social credit score. The changes will toughen up community punishments. Keep that in mind, community punishments. To deter reoffending and force offenders back onto the straight and narrow. As part of the government's work to do everything in its power to keep Britain safe, offenders coming out of prison and supervised by the probation service will also face similar restrictions and an expanded mandatory drug testing regime. In future, criminals without known drug habits will face this scrutiny, not just those with a history of substance misuse. Okay, I guess. Offenders who break the rules face being brought back to court or hauled back to prison as punishment depending on the sentence they are serving. Lord Chancellor and Justice Secretary Shabana Mahmood said, widening the range of punishments available to judges is part of our plan for change to cut crime and make streets safer. When criminals break society's rules, they must be punished. Those serving their sentences in the community must have their freedom restricted there too. These new punishments should remind all offenders that under this government crime does not pay. Rightly, the public expect the government to do everything in its power to keep Britain safe. And that's what we and that's what we are doing. Currently, judges are able to give out limited bans for specific crimes. For example, football bans for crimes committed inside a stadium on match day. I'm behind this. I mean, a football hooligan who does crime in a football stadium is clearly related to football. Just kick him out. This is, yeah, to prevent further antisocial behavior. Yeah. The government will change the law shortly so such bans can be handed down as a form of punishment for any offense in any circumstance. Graffitiing a cross on a roundabout, I guess, and then you can't visit a pub. Can't enter a stadium. It will form part of wider reforms to sentencing to ensure punishments cut crime and prisons never again run out of places for dangerous offenders or people who are just tweeting a meme. Over 2,400 prison places have been opened since July 2024, with the government investing $7 billion to create a total of 14,000 as the prison population increases. I wonder why. Investment in the probation service will also receive a huge boost with an increase of up to 700 million by 2028-2029, up from the annual budget of around 1.6 billion today. This week it was revealed the number of probation officers has been increased, new technologies, blah blah blah. So you can't enter a pub. And the pub culture is predominantly white. We've been through this through 3 articles. So we established already that for some people the pub culture, stadium culture is predominantly white. So who is more scrutinized by this changes? Is it Mohammed and Mohammed who goes to a football match of Man United and Arsenal? Or is it Ben and Bill who goes to a match of Man United and goes to the pub afterwards? And you can give them community service. Community service is for everyone. But the person who created this was the person who almost created the 2-tier system. And this is 2-tier system with extra steps, or the backdoor version of the 2-tier sentencing, in my humble opinion. Have a great day.